everyone, Jim here. Welcome to Mystery and Mayhem. I know I haven't put a video up in a while. I've been kind of contemplating, I've been working on a couple of longer form, more involved videos, and I realized that I really hadn't put anything up for a while, so I just thought I'd do a real quick one with you guys. I realized I didn't really do an update on what I read for Spring Into Adventure, so let's talk about that and a couple other things. So our Spring Into Adventure's kind of done, but I think we're carrying it through into May. I'm not real sure how the logistics work of it for it. I think the other guys are doing like horror adventure to kind of utilize the horror mayhem and the Spring Into Adventure events. So I will go through what I read this last month for April and maybe give you an idea of what I'm going to read in May. So the first week I read for adventure, I read a nice, good pirate stories by Robert E. Howard, Black Volmay's Vengeance. And these were a lot of fun. And I went more on about this in another video, so I won't dwell on that too much, but just update you guys what I had read for Spring Into Adventure. For the second week, we did a group read for She by H. Rider Haggard, which for me, it took a while to get going, and I wasn't real sure how I felt about the story, but the last third of the book really picked up, and I really enjoyed it at that point, and I can kind of see why, you know, it gets a recognition that it deserves. But as I said, it was kind of the first of its kind of thing, Lost Worlds and that kind of thing, you know, and Edgar Rice Burroughs and many others. Abraham Merritt kind of took that concept that H. Rider Haggard had and kind of ran with it in their own way. So when you first read that story, it might seem a little cliched, but you got to remember he's kind of the first one who came up with a lot of those kind of tropes, which you gotta respect that. So yeah, that was She. That was a group read. Then unfortunately, I read this one. You know, the movie wasn't the greatest. I was happy to see Harrison Ford back as Indiana Jones when this movie came out. I was a little disappointed in the movie itself, and when I saw that James Rollins wrote the novelization, I thought, you know, he would add a little bit more to the story and maybe make it a little better. But aside from a beginning precursor part to the story, it followed the movie almost exactly, which was unfortunate. I hoped that he would, you know, he would add something different to it and get rid of the silly parts that were in it. But he didn't, you know, but it's Indiana Jones, and it was a fun read, but maybe it was more suitable to Garbogast, upcoming Garbogast. So that was done and out of the way. So the fourth week, I started reading this for nonfiction adventure. Now this is a biography of Isabel Eberhardt, and she was kind of a female explorer. Now, I haven't got very far in it. I kind of stopped reading it because TBRs are not my friend. I think Michael K. Vaughan did a video a few days ago about how he hates TBRs, and I do too. I mean, I haven't DNF'd this book, but I just kind of put it aside for a while because there's other things that caught my eye that I was in the mood for. So I will come back to that, and I'll let you guys know what I thought of it. I wanted to read some stuff for People April. Not that I'm heavily into that, but I wanted to kind of read something for People April. I think that's the name of the event. But I picked up this book of vintage book of Canadian memoirs. So specifically, I wanted to read the memoir of Eric Wright, who was the writer of the Inspector Charlie Salter police procedural novels that are set in Toronto. And the memoir in this is an excerpt from his full-length memoir called Always Give a Penny to a Blind Man, a memoir. And he was a child during the Blitz in World War II in England. So So that short excerpt starts there. You know, it just goes for a few pages. It's that long, and it deals with his time and his experiences during that time, during the Blitz. And I think he was relocated to live with his sister for a short time. So yeah, that kind of distracted me from spring into adventure, and I really like a good memoir every now and then. I was in the mood for some. So yeah, that's just a nice book. And there's memoirs in here from Margaret Atwood, Barry Callahan, Elspeth Cameron, Wayson Choi, Austin Clarke, Timothy Finley, Cecil Foster, Sylvia Fraser. Yeah, it's a lovely book to have, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And I also started reading. I showed this book to you on my last book haul video, Lady on the Case. And I don't have the dust cover for it. I'll put it up here to show you the cover of it. But I've read the first 3 stories from this, and the first story is a Loveday Brooke story. If you follow Roy Reads Anything, you'll remember he did a feature on Miss Loveday Brooke, like 1 or 2 of them actually, and I really enjoyed that story. I mean, she's a strong, forthright, very smart woman, and the stories were very atmospheric, and it was very, very enjoyable. I don't think I've read a Loveday Brooke story before. It's possible that I have. I have so many anthologies, and I've read so many short stories I might have forgotten. The second story was Miss Molly of Scotland Yard by Baroness Orczy. That was just as enjoyable. I mean, there's a few things in it that stretch the bounds of credibility a little bit, but I just went with it, and I really enjoyed the story. And the third one I'm reading right now, I'm going to try to get through the whole thing, but I thought I'd share with you what I am reading. Death in the Sun by G.D.H. and Margaret Cole. Now, that features a character, Mrs. Warrender. And she's a mother of a grown son who's I think a private investigator, and he's a famous private investigator. But in all the stories, she's the one who helps him in his cases and helps him solve the crimes. And in this one, he's not even. I mean, she found the body, and he was off doing his own thing. So she's totally involved in this investigation, and it's pretty good. I mean, I'm really glad I picked this book up and added it to my collection. Yeah, so if you ever see that, Lady on the Case by Bonanza Press, I mean, that's worth picking up if you're into that kind of stuff. What else did I want to share with you? Like I said, I've been working on a couple of, in my head, I really haven't done anything substantial on them yet, but there's a couple of long form, more involved videos I want to do that are going to take a bit more time. And like I said, I realized I hadn't got a video out to you guys, so I wanted to do this. I did pick up a couple of books at a thrift store the other day. I got a new Tony Hellerman called The Dark Wind. And this features his character, Sergeant Jim Chi. And these are really good books, good mysteries, well written. Tony Hellerman's a really good writer, so I recommend these if you find them. So I was happy to get that. I got a science fiction one too, maybe in preparation for Rocket Summer. I don't know, but this one looked interesting. It's by Edward Llewellyn, called Prelude to Chaos. And the back says, Gavin Knox was bodyguard to the President of the United States and witness to a crime which could shake civilization to its foundations. Judith Grenfell was a neurobiologist who discovered a side effect of the most common pharmaceutical on the market, which could cause the greatest biological disaster in human history. Both were prisoners in the most advanced maximum security prison ever devised. Without their information, the few survivors of biological catastrophe could dissolve in a bloody civil war. They had to escape and fast to safeguard the survival of the human race or leave the world barren for eternity. So, yeah, that looked interesting. And normally I don't buy a lot of science fiction. I have science fiction on my shelf, but it's never my first go-to. But that looked intriguing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that's all about. You got another Deathlands novel, maybe in preparation for Garb August. I've got a couple of these now. I have yet to read the other one, but from what people tell me, these are very enjoyable, so I'm going to check these out. And this one is called Demons of Eden. And they, they're pretty substantial stories. So I'm looking forward to reading that one sometime. I got a Willows and Parker mystery by Lawrence Gow called Killers. Looking forward to getting into that one. And I found this one. Now this is a pastiche novel by Dennis Lins, and it's called Charlie Chan Returns, but that's a very neat cover. So I've never actually read a Charlie Chan novel, so I might have read a short story or two. But yeah, I'll check that one out. But just a nice little paperback to have, and I was happy to get that. And I got a couple of, I got this one here. A novel about, it's nonfiction about the Civil War called Terrible Swift Sword by Bruce Catton. And I think this is the second volume in a series, so I might have to look for the first in the series. Yeah, this says volume 2. And it tells a story of two turning points which made the Civil War the most tragic and yet the most important in America's history. And so, I mean, who knows with the stuff going on down in the States nowadays? I mean, it might be considered a very current read. But that's it for me. I just wanted to update you guys, and stay tuned for a special announcement coming up. Should be very soon. Regarding the month of June. So stay tuned for that. And I hope everyone's doing well. It's a little rainy out there today, but it's warm. Springtime is here. The buds are starting to sprout on the trees, which is nice to see. So you guys, I'll talk to you soon. You take care. Keep reading.